You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 141. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Jordan Andrews.
All right. So, Comic Reflections is brought to you by Rhymes with Geek, where you can check out our show, plus many other cool podcasts like the all-new Anti-Fanboy, Feeded Comics, and Superhero Speak at rhymeswithgeek.com. And we're also available now on backissueheroes.com, the home of classic comics on the web. And if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher. Solid. Okay, hey, after a long break, stupid holidays, Jordan and I are back to talk about more Silver Age Aquaman from Showcase Presents Aquaman Volume 1.
That's
where all these stories are reprinted in that volume. But the first story we're going to talk about today is Aquaman Meets Aquagirl from Adventure Comics number 266, written by Robert Bernstein, with art by the terrific Ramona Fradon.
It is great art. I really, really like it. She does almost all of them.
Yeah, and
most of the ones in this volume.
Yeah, and there's a transition where it goes to, Nick Cardy becomes the main Aquaman artist, and then there's the super classic run with Steve Skates writing and Jim Aparo on art.
Oh.
And that is awesome.
Pretty sweet. Well,
super sweet.
Looking forward to that, but this stuff isn't bad.
No, it's great. And you know, Ramona Fradon, also a volume we might want to look into in the future is the Showcase Presents Metamorpho.
Okay.
Which they've only done one volume, and they'll probably never do another. But Ramona Fradon, I think, does all the art in that series. So, yeah. Anyway, yes. What's going on in this story, Jordan?
So we start out with Lisa Morel,
okay,
who is some girl that we haven't been introduced to before.
That's okay.
But she's looking through a glass-bottom boat and sees a guy trapped by a clam that turns out to be Aquaman. I don't know how he gets in those situations. How would he get in a trapped by clam situation?
I mean, well, he is in the water, and there are big clams.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, Jimmy Olsen gets into some weird things,
true.
But I think Aquaman, that's super embarrassing.
It
You're
is.
Aquaman and you got trapped by a giant clam.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, these are the reasons why people didn't used to like Aquaman.
I think, yeah. So.
Anyway, so Lisa Morel sees him and asks Eddie, some guy named Eddie, for an electric torch to help get him out. So she gets Aquaman out by heating up the clam with a torch.
Okay.
And she does it without any diving equipment.
Really?
Really. So Aquaman realizes this and pulls her to the surface, wondering why she, didn't drown.
Yeah.
And I love this line when he says she's been submerged for over 5 minutes, which is some sort of unsurvivable number.
I mean, some people can hold their breath around that or a little longer, but most people can't.
Right. But
That's pretty intense.
I was thinking that I saw this special on, I think, BBC, where this guy dove underwater to spearfish for like 15 minutes.
What?
Held his breath for an entire... They filmed the whole thing, too.
I don't know how you could magic that and not be like, derp,
well, yeah, maybe he was. Who knows? But anyway, so she can, it turns out, potentially breathe underwater. So they experiment, which is, I guess, what you do.
Yeah.
And so she just hangs out underwater on a rock for like an hour.
Okay.
And then they start asking questions like, why? So they go to find Lisa's father, and Aquaman says, "Well, let's get out of the water and go meet him." And she's like, "No, I want to swim." So I guess she's feeling this impulse to just do everything that Aquaman can do.
Okay.
So
anything you can do, I can do better.
That's sort of how this works. And her dad has no idea why this is happening.
Uh-huh.
And he actually doesn't even believe her for a while.
Right.
Until, inexplicably, his gold Explorer's trophy rolls off of this huge cliff-side pad they got going on.
Yeah.
And she commands a bunch of SEALs to, bop the gold globe back up to them.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm thinking, if a huge gold globe is falling and smacks a seal on the head, that thing's gonna get knocked out.
Word.
But
and Mama said knock you out. Just ask LL Cool J, who I met in real life.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Briefly, but yes, I did. I met LL Cool J.
That is wow.
Yes.
I'm a little jealous.
Let me tell you, ladies do love Cool James.
Okay.
Because that's what
LL stands for.
LL Cool J.
I can see that.
LL Cool James. Ladies love Cool James.
Okay.
So anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the seals don't get brain damage.
In New York City.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I was like a senior in high school.
I wonder if I will meet any famous people when I go to New York.
One time I was at a gas station and I saw Coolio driving away in his limo.
Really?
Yep. He sucks. So.
Oh, okay. I mean, you saw him.
Yeah.
My brother saw Mos Def shopping in Portland.
Really?
One time.
Sure, it wasn't just a black guy.
Yeah, very sure.
Okay.
Very sure. So now.
He's pretty funny, actually. Mos
Def.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him on Chappelle Show. He's good.
Really?
Yeah.
I have seen bits and pieces of the Chappelle Show.
Dude, you would pee your pants.
Oh, I did. Every time I watched it, I did.
Okay. Anyway, what's up with Aquaman? Sorry.
Okay, so the seals didn't get brain damage, and they bopped the globe back up, and now her dad believes her. Mm-hmm. Oh, because she commanded the seals to do it. So it's like she now has telepathic power over marine life again, just like Aquaman. So they're wondering, how could this have happened? And for some reason, her dad thinks that one of the ways to find out is to ask Aquaman his origin story.
So we get a recap of that, don't we?
Our weekly recap, or monthly recap of how Aquaman got his powers.
This kind of thing is very common in Silver Age. Oh, what's the deal with Aquaman? Oh, here's this.
And I think I sort of like this approach instead of the now more modern approach where they just totally scrap the entire run of a comic and reboot it.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe some people feel differently.
I've got opinions about the state of modern comics, but not right now. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, so we won't bore you with Aquaman's origin story.
Because you heard it before. We talked about it before. And
also because her dad says, but that doesn't explain her powers, so it just makes the previous 6 panels completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
So Aquaman says he can't be out of water for longer than an hour, so ta-ta, I've got to go.
Ta-ta for now.
And then Aquaman comes back to find Lisa Morel completely decked out in Aquaman gear. Well, the female version of Aquaman gear.
Yeah.
And she said that she can't live out of water now, too. As soon as he left, she started gasping for air. And so I slept in the swimming pool. So things are getting a bit weird around here. And Aquaman refuses to let her go on, his excursions because it's too dangerous for her. And she says, I'm going anyway. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to show you how dangerous this job can be when they find a yacht that, for some reason, all of the members of the band got sick. And so their big thing for the day is to get a band to play on this yacht for somebody's birthday.
Yeah.
And he gets Topo to do it. All of the instruments.
Of course, because Topo has all the tentacles to play all these instruments.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So Aquaman saves the day.
This reminds me of Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Right. So Aquaman saves the day and shows Lisa Morel just how dangerous this line of work can be.
Here's the thing: is it really a line of work? I don't see Aquaman getting Aqua dough for this.
Yeah, no, that's true. So I guess.
But I've heard people refer to this in the hero bit. It's like, is this a business? Are you really making money off this?
Yeah, no. I mean, I kind of hope so. Because
unless you're Luke Cage, hero for hire.
Yeah, that's true.
But
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but shortly after that, he gets into some legitimate serious business when an iceberg is floating into a busy shipping lane. And Lisa, or Aqua Girl, whatever she's called, she says, I got this, and commands whales to, ram the iceberg and shatter the top of it. And Aquaman gives her a little lesson in icebergs because apparently the woman that studies oceans for a living doesn't know what an iceberg is.
Does she study oceans for a living?
Well, like in the beginning,
I thought her father was an ichthyologist.
He is, but then like in the very beginning of the whole thing, she says one day as a girl studies marine life.
Okay.
Through the glass bottom of her
She
yacht.
could be studying just like, hey, I'm going to study that. Not like, I am Professor Marine.
Well, I guess, but I mean, I feel like it's sort of common knowledge, at least in the, oceanographer circuit, that most of an iceberg is under the water. But anyway, Aquaman tells her anyway.
Right.
But it's too late because she already shattered it, and now a boat is coming their way, so they gotta act fast. So Aquaman, using his fish punny powers, gets the luminous fish to light up the submerged iceberg to say, get out of here. And the captain says, oh man, we can just manage to avoid a collision. At that moment, Aquagirl begins to realize that she can't breathe underwater anymore.
What?
So just as soon as her powers came on, they vanished. Which
Weird.
gives us a little bit of backstory into Atlantis, because as Aquaman finds out, she is an Atlantean reject.
Oh, that's right.
So as the glass city of Atlantis slowly, took on water, the inhabitants evolved to be able to breathe it, but sometimes they'll birth a baby that have you seen Gone with the Wind? I don't know nothing about birthing no babies.
I've seen it
a
long time ago, but yeah.
I watched it recently. It was pretty good.
Anyway,
so they sometimes have children with genetic defects that don't allow for them to breathe underwater.
Man.
And, they don't want to let them drown, so they shoot them off into the surface world, hoping that somebody will find them in the middle of a raging sea.
Right. Okay.
And in this case, they did, and, her dad, Dr. Morell admits to lying about it, and says, well, yeah, she was an orphan that we found in the middle of the ocean. Probably information I should have let you know sooner.
Yes.
Oh, and the giveaway was that she had purple eyes. We can't really see that in the showcase volume because it's black and white.
Yeah.
But it does describe it to us, so we can, picture it in our minds.
Aqualad has the purple eyes.
Exactly. Well, that's one of the giveaways.
Yeah, I mean, that he's introduced in a story we'll talk about today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like maybe you'd notice if you had purple eyes looking in the mirror. But I guess maybe they didn't know too much about genetics back in the 60s.
Wow. Whatever.
And that's how it goes.
That's
There's Aquagirl for you. Oh, who's no longer Aquagirl anymore because, she lost her powers.
Yeah, she's a one-off, so don't expect her to come back. So the next story we've got to read is called The Manhunt on Land. It's from Adventure Comics number 267, written by Robert Bernstein, with art by Ramona Fradon.
This one is... You get a lot of hokey stories with the Silver Age.
Yeah.
But it's always in a good way.
Yeah.
And this is no exception.
It's okay.
It is hokey in the best possible way.
Okay.
You got these two guys in prison, Shark Norton and Horace the Wizard Cates. And they're both in prison together and planning to escape together. But to different places. Because Shark gets caught by Aquaman.
Right.
So he vows when he escapes, he's living his life of crime on land.
Yeah.
And the wizard gets caught by Green Arrow.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm gonna try my life out at sea.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like a Freaky Friday superhero edition.
Oh, interesting.
So they escape. One of them flies over the walls.
Freaky Friday.
And the other one goes into the sewers. And for some reason, the police call Aquaman, and you'd think that they would, let Aquaman go after the guy that decided to live his life on the sea.
Yeah.
And the Green Arrow would go back and get the guy that was on land, but I guess maybe that wouldn't make for as an entertaining of
I think the
a comic.
quote-unquote fish out of water makes a more interesting story.
It
So,
does.
do we see Green Arrow in this?
Not this one.
Okay,
No.
well, let's focus on this one then.
Okay, so they tell Aquaman that the Green Arrow is following the Wizard's trail in the ocean,
Okay.
and the police want Aquaman's help tracking down Shark, even if he's operating on land.
Man.
And Aquaman is gasping for breath because he's been out of the water for a while, and he's like...
So, for like probably maybe the only time we see it, he puts on a helmet that's filled with water.
Yeah. I don't know how long that would give him oxygen for necessarily, but...
Well, I don't know.
That doesn't matter, you know. People aren't concerned with that.
There are many unanswered questions about this.
Exactly.
So
he's in Star City
Right.
with his water-filled glass bowl, fish bowl, and then he's got a bunch of his fish friends in a truck with water, just in case.
Okay.
And Shark's people hear about it, and they go to ambush Aquaman, and so they shoot out his headlights.
Oh man.
And surround him, but then Aquaman has a bunch of luminous fish. He loves those. He loves those luminous fish, shining a light on the culprits.
Yeah.
And Shark isn't with this group. He's kind of pulling the strings in the background.
No.
And so after he shines the spotlight with the luminous fish on the guys, he opens up a hatch and commands the swordfish to go like spear them to the wall.
Okay.
And so the whole kind of.
He just bring a bunch of fish along with. I think that's really funny.
Yeah, it is. But the whole kind of story is that, you know, they're catching them just like Green Arrow would by pinning them to the wall
Right.
with swordfish.
Right, okay.
And then he tosses the swordfish after the police arrive back into the tank, and they live happily ever after, even though they've been out of water probably half an hour. And
Who knows?
you know, yeah.
You know, stuff.
So then they find out that more of Shark's guys were robbing what looks like a sporting goods store. Oh, Haynes department store. And then this next panel says sporting goods.
Okay.
So they go to try to take Aquaman out, kind of in the same vein, but then he gets Topo silently to grab some arrows and some bows in each of his hands and shoots apparently Aquaman says he taught Topo the trick of operating 4 bows at one time.
What?
And so he shoots the robbers to the wall again.
With arrows?
Just like Green Arrow would.
Oh, man. See, it's so funny. I didn't even think about that when I was reading it.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So then finally, you know, Shark says, okay, I'm gonna, oh wait, no, not yet. So he has another idea about how to get away from Aquaman, and they grab the loot from a bank and get in a hot air balloon.
Right.
And he stops them that way by ordering a sea porcupine.
What? Is that even a thing?
It's like a quillfish or, you know, pufferfish, but
yeah.
They exaggerate its ability to shoot quills.
Right. Oh, go ahead.
So they shoot. He has them shoot the quills and pop the hot air balloon, and you know, catch them again. And then Shark says that's the final straw. He's going to meet him in person, and he threatens Aquaman. Says
with bodily harm?
No. He threatens Aquaman with. He says that he'll hurt the fish in the city aquarium.
Oh, man.
So if you don't come show up, I'm going to hurt all these fish in the city aquarium. And Aquaman can't stand for that.
Right.
So he goes to meet him alone, and as is the typical bad guy behavior, he's got like 4 guys with him with Tommy guns.
The Thompson submachine gun. The gangster's choice.
So they go to shoot Aquaman. He dives out of the way, and the bullets, you know, crash into the aquarium.
Yeah.
The aquarium bursts. The fish apparently are still unharmed. And in a series of just hilarious undersea puns, as is the way with Aquaman, he says, the eels gave that thug a taste of what the hot seat is like. And then he has a seal treat one of the robbers as a beach ball.
The hot seat, like the electric
chair?
chair?
Yeah, like the electric chair.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a big graphic. But then he has a seal treat this guy like a beach ball.
Oh,
and says, that stunt gets my seal of approval.
Oh,
grown. Crab handcuffs. And then finally a play on the guy's name. It takes a shark to catch a shark.
Oh.
And then it's over.
And the shark bites off his penis. Kidding. It's terrible. I try to keep it clean, but sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta add some, some color.
Yeah.
And then it ends with Shark saying, I thought he'd be handicapped out of water. I must have been crazy. And it leaves with Aquaman pondering how Green Arrow's getting along. Which leads us...
Which makes me wonder, oh wait,
right into the next
why don't we talk about the Green Arrow?
Which is still in Adventure Comics 267.
Yes, this is so cool because we got 2 features, it would be a magazine with 2 or 3 features. And 2 of them tied together like this, that's fun.
Yeah.
So, yes, this story we're going to talk about is called The Underwater Archers. And yes, it's Adventure Comics 267, written by Robert Bernstein, with art by Lee Elias. Terrific art. Very well known for his Golden Age work on the Black Cat for Harvey Comics. She was a superheroine, and she was cool. And gorgeous art. Very reminiscent of, and typical of the time. And I'm going to blank. The guy who did Steve Canyon and Terry and the Pirates. And I'm blanking. And hopefully it'll come to me in a few minutes.
That's okay. Google, those comics.
Milton Caniff.
Okay.
Milton Caniff.
Now you don't have to do it anymore.
But incredibly influential artist and really gorgeous stuff. I just picked up a Steve Canyon trade paperback for like a couple dollars. I was pretty happy about that.
Excellent.
Yes. So, anyway.
Making the Silver Age more accessible every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is it silver?
Well, it's the one I got is reprinting, I think, the entire strip for the year of 1951. So that would be still Golden Age.
Gotcha.
But anyway.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
So this one doesn't really feature Aquaman, but nothing wrong with shaking it up a little every now and then.
No. Let's talk about Green Arrow. Green Arrow was great.
Yeah, the Green Arrow and Speedy. So the splash page is him and Speedy fending off a giant whale with the tagline, "There isn't an arrow in my quiver that can stop that monster."
Not even the boxing glove arrow?
Well, this is a big whale. I don't know if the boxing glove arrow will...
I'm joking. I heard they recently brought in the boxing glove arrow on Arrow.
On the television show?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I need to catch up.
Did you see the Flash versus Arrow episodes?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, they were so good.
I have not seen beyond season 1 of the Arrow television program.
I am only I saw like the first episode of season 2, so I'm only 1 episode ahead of you, really. Yeah. But then I did see the Flash and Arrow episode.
I haven't seen any of the Flash.
Because they did you haven't seen any of the Flash?
No,
oh, dude, it's so good.
I don't know.
But it's on a mid-season break, so you should catch up.
Okay.
But yeah.
So now we're catching up with Horace Cates, the wizard who escaped to the sea to live a life of piracy after getting caught on land by Green Arrow.
Now, is Horace the wizard? Is he the guy with these Coke bottle glasses?
He is the guy with these Coke bottle glasses.
Oh, I love that look.
Yeah. Very classic. Classic look. And, each one of his gangster cronies...
His minions.
Yeah.
Jeff likes to say minions.
Minions. Minions is a good word. It's a solid word.
Yeah, it's good. I just like to say henchmen, but...
Yeah. Oh, henchman is also a good one.
But it doesn't matter.
But they all look like, the typical gangster. And so he's saying that he's done with the flying buzzsaws and drillmobiles, and now he's living... From now on, I'll confine my crimes to the sea.
Done with the flying buzzsaws and drillmobiles. Come on, man. That's awesome.
Strictly, yeah, I know. Why would you...
That is the greatest...
Don't swear off of that.
That is like... Any sentence that contains those words...
That is a great sentence.
That's awesome.
It's a great sentence.
So
Oliver Queen and his young ward, Roy Harper, are, hanging out in the Arrow Cave.
Yeah.
And apparently they found out that the wizard has gone over to the sea.
Yeah.
But they're still intent on tracking them, so they change up their arsenal to include underwater-esque archery equipment.
Oh, really?
Yes, using pneumatic air pressure devices and the like.
Okay.
And they get an arrow boat, so that's cool.
Oh, I love it. They have the arrow cave, the arrow car.
The arrow everything.
Yeah.
Arrow everything. They then learn from an underworld tip that the wizard has vowed to steal a shipment of gold bullion from a specific freighter, so they tail the freighter for days.
It's not chicken bullion?
No,
gold bullion? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of beef bullion myself.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, well, chicken's good too.
Oh, I screwed it up. Anyway.
So they trail the yacht and for days. And all they see is a bunch of whales. But it turns out one of the whales is going rogue and rams the yacht, and it turns out to be a metal whale.
What?
So he's done with the flying buzzsaws, but not with the metal whales.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's right. I love this. It's his submarine looks like a whale.
Exactly.
Which
like a
is
whale.
awesome.
Very cool. And the captain says, "Oh no, I recognize him. He's a dangerous foe, so let's give up all of our junk." The wizard obviously likes that, but Speedy and Aquaman are wise to his shenanigans.
Are they?
They are, and so they harpoon the side of the metal whale, but then it starts pulling them along in their boat.
How do they harpoon it? Does it have a big like a suction cup, like a plunger?
I don't. It's just maybe really strong metal that can pierce other really strong metal. Who
Okay.
knows?
I was just.
We don't ask questions.
I was just trying to make a joke, but
Oh, gotcha.
I failed. Obviously.
But then they pull the arrow boat along, and they can't do anything about it until they hook two real whales and have a little tug of war match.
Yes.
Which sounds like it would end really poorly for the whales, but it doesn't.
Yay!
So they're playing tug of war.
Yeah.
And they keep shooting these decoy fish in front of the whales.
Yeah.
Kind of like a bait to keep them moving in that specific direction.
Your whale bait, and I just can't wait. Whale bait, baby, come on. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, that was a reference to Motorhead's song Jailbait, which, okay, it's terrible, but I don't care. Motorhead's rad. So
Absolutely.
anyway, go ahead.
Can't go wrong with some good Motorhead. So they play tug of war with the whales, and they end up winning, but not before the wizard launches away in his escape pod. The problem with this is,
Okay.
they say right before that the harpoon knocked out all of their electrical controls,
Okay.
but somehow they were still able to launch away in the escape pod.
Maybe the escape pod had its own internal stuff, and they just opened a hatch and powered it up, and it went.
Maybe.
Maybe that's the answer.
I'm just not sure how they'd open the hatch without the electricals.
Well, maybe it was a manual release.
Always an option.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm just thinking. I mean.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I like it. So they find a bunch of the henchmen, but obviously the wizard and two of his other guys were able to escape.
Yeah.
And a few weeks later, there's a prison ship
Yeah.
that accidentally strikes an iceberg in the fog. Now, what I'm thinking is,
Yeah.
what purpose do you have sailing a prison ship? I don't even know what a prison ship is, but what business do you have sailing one into waters with icebergs in them?
You know, this may be one of the great unsolved mysteries of our time.
Maybe it's like some maximum security prison in Antarctica or something.
Dude, they should have that.
They should. It's like
It wouldn't have to be maximum. Like, here you go.
Yeah,
See you later. You know.
have fun freezing to death.
God, that sounds so draconian and
Great for comments.
and by extension, very Republican. So I'm sorry, but in pretend land, that's a great idea.
It's great, yeah. It's fun. So they hit the iceberg.
Yeah.
And freed all of the prisoners.
Yay!
And left them in the lifeboats, defend, every man for themselves type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that the iceberg was not an actual iceberg at all, but another invention by the wizard. So it's got a false bottom where they can take in the prisoners, the former prisoners. And Speedy and Green Arrow again become wise to their schemes and make salt arrows. Start launching the salt arrows.
Wait, that's a thing? Oh, and they contain salt, and what does it do?
They land on the iceberg and helps it mix with the heat to melt the iceberg.
Okay.
Because salt does that with ice. And all of the inmates abandon the iceberg because it's falling apart in Arctic waters, and so the police recapture all of these guys, except again for the wizard and his two main squeezes that escape in the escape pod.
Wait, there's girlfriends?
No.
Oh, it's two henchmen.
There's prison girlfriends.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So they get away?
They get away again in the escape pod. That same escape pod that is causing so many problems.
Okay.
But they don't get away for long.
Okay.
The next day, they're kind of just hanging out underwater with diving suits and see a sea monster.
Of course.
Those exist in comics.
Yes, they do.
And it's a real sea monster.
A real one?
A real one.
You mean it?
And the wizard says, well, let's lure Green Arrow down here. He'll think it's one of my inventions and try to attack it, but it's real, so it'll destroy him.
Right.
And that is pretty much exactly what happens.
That's a pretty good plan.
It's an excellent plan.
Except, But
then Green Arrow launches a flare with an arrow. Obviously,
right.
That's kind of his thing. And reinforcements arrive in the shape of Topo the octopus and a bunch of underwater friends. Green Arrow then telepathically connects with...
What?
Exactly. That was my thought. But it says right here, if I concentrate on Topo with all my telepathic power, maybe he'll translate my appeal to the other fish. So Green Arrow is telepathic.
I did not pick up on that when I read this, and... What? That's never referenced. I've never heard of that before, and probably will never again. Yeah.
Nope. So Topo has a conversation with the rest of the fish, who then all have a conversation with the sea monster.
Yeah.
Who then is like, okay, they're cool, I'll leave. And then Green Arrow and Speedy see the wizard, who was kind of watching them die up on a cliff. And he catches them with fishhook arrows.
Yay!
And that's the end of it.
And then Aquaman shows up to congratulate him.
Shakes some hands, kisses some babies. And
I don't think he kisses any babies.
No, he doesn't kiss any babies.
I know.
Then Arrow makes a quip about them switching hunting grounds another time. And scene.
And scene. You ever do that hand gesture and scene?
All the time.
Love it. Okay.
It was a fun one. That was a good... I liked it.
That is a fun one.
The sea monster, the art on the sea monster looks great.
It is a cool-looking sea monster.
It is.
I dig it, too.
It's kind of a Voldemort-looking thing.
Yeah. I always wondered, did Voldemort lose his nose in Vietnam? And then I realized he's a snake thing or whatever later. But because I just saw the movies, I didn't read the books. Because when the books came out, I was like, that sounds... And it's the term I would use at the time, like, gay, wizard school. But then in college, all the chicks were into the Harry Potter movies.
I've read all of them and seen all the movies.
And so I had to watch all the movies at least, and then I went and saw the last few in the theater, and I ended up liking them.
They're great. Yeah, they're fun.
So, yeah, I did it for the chicks. Didn't pay off, but you know what? But my mind was open to something cool that I ignored previously.
So, it worked.
Yeah, no.
It didn't and did at the same time.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I got to enjoy something cool. So... And I learned to love Luna Lovegood. If you didn't see my gesture of my listeners didn't see me patting my heart like Luna, but
like those romance comics you love so much.
Dude, I love romance.
They're so good.
They are so good. So anyway, DC has a showcase presents, I think it's Young Love or something like that. It's definitely a book that I want to get and talk about.
The 60s and 70s ones are just, I think they're probably my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, the genre was really at its peak in like the late 40s and 50s, but yeah.
I just love the hippie storylines and everything.
Those are pretty crazy, yeah. So what's our next Aquaman story? We've got The Adventures of Aqua Boy from Adventure Comics number 268. Written by Robert Bernstein with art by Ramona Fradon.
Back to Ramona Fradon.
Yay.
It was a good break. I liked Elias. But,
I like Lee Elias. Oh, he did some of the first few Eclipso stories too. And those are just gorgeous. I really like him. I need to look into him more because I enjoy his art a lot.
Yeah. But so we learned about Aquaman. Aqua Boy is not a reference to Aqua Lad.
Aqua Boy
is actually Aquaman
as a boy. Oh, like that was the tagline for all the Superboy stories. Like The Adventures of Superman when he was a boy.
Yeah,
so
it's the same thing.
Yeah, only not as cool. Let's be honest. It's like, look, Aquaman is cool, but Superman. I love Superman. I'm just gonna I think he's better personally.
That's fine. I think Aquaman gets a bad rap, and
he does.
I can see why. That's fine. But Aquaman will always hold a special place in my heart.
No, and I'm not trying to bag on Aquaman. I'm just
no, I didn't think you were.
I just think Superman is superior. But hey, just as a tangent for a sec. So for Christmas I gave to the 1960s Aquaman cartoon on DVD. Have you gotten to see that yet?
I haven't yet.
Oh,
I haven't.
Well, when you do, tell me because it totally ties in because we're talking about Silver Age Aquaman and
it's the same time period.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm really excited about it. That's one of the ones that I can watch with the kids too. So
yeah. Yay.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So here we have Aquaman. The splash page is him sticking his head in a shark's mouth.
Right, because that's what you do.
Hey, look what I can do.
Steward?
Mad TV reference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But then he's back as the comic begins as a man patrolling the South Pacific.
Huh.
And some really poorly thrown together boat is capsizing and this guy is drowning. So Aquaman saves him, but he turns out to not want to be saved.
What?
It ends up that he's a blind man who was just hoping to end it all.
Wow.
But he's kind of got a really good, heart-wrenching reason for it.
Right.
He lost his sight in an accident, spent the rest of his years fishing the ocean bottom for pearls.
Right.
To pay for a sight restoration operation.
Okay.
He finally gets enough pearls to fund the thing.
And somebody ripped off the pearls?
No, they fell out of the boat.
Oh.
Deep into an ocean trench, and he couldn't dare go after them. So he's like, well, that's it. Not gonna do that again.
And to top it off, he looks like Cousin Erie from Erie Comics.
But he doesn't know. He doesn't know that. He's blind.
Yeah. Kind of looks like him. Not totally.
Yeah, sure. But Aquaman tries to help, and the guy doesn't believe that there could ever be such a thing as Aquaman because he's been living almost literally under a rock for, how long does it say?
Many moons.
Yeah.
Doesn't really say many moons, but
a long while.
Some period of time
we
do not have a definition for.
Aquaman then recognizes this guy as somebody that he saved long ago before he lost his sight.
Weird.
Who didn't believe him back then?
Weird.
So he hit his head in this crash when he was a young captain.
Yeah.
He didn't lose his sight then. It happened later. So Aquaman gets some whales to lift the capsizing boat that he's in out of the water. But the guy hit his head, so he says, I was hallucinating. Could have been anything. I don't believe you.
He was tripping balls.
He was tripping balls. And so the guy remembers, but still doesn't believe him.
Right.
So this would be obnoxious. Right. I would kind of just maybe let the guy
die. No.
If he wanted to, I'm a Kevorkian.
Yeah. There's got to be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
Oh, literally in this case.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in the dying part. I mean in the
He gets his sight back part.
Oh, spoilers.
Well, actually, he doesn't get his sight back in the comic, but
no?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
This story does remind me of a Superman story from the 50s. It's called The Girl Who Didn't Believe in Superman. And then Superman's trying to do all these feats to prove to her that he's real. Mm-hmm. It's pretty great.
That's awesome. Yeah. That sounds great. This sounds obnoxious.
In fact, I know I've got that in a comic that I'm giving to your son in the future.
Excellent. I will have to steal it from him for like 5 minutes and then read it.
Yeah.
I think probably my favorite line in here is when the blind guy says bunk.
Yeah.
I love...
When people say stuff like that. Bunk? Nobody says that anymore.
No, I go crazy for oldie style language. It's just my thing. I love it. So... he sort of goes senile old man on Aquaman.
Yeah.
Full senile old man. And says that he's not going to tell him where the pearls are because he's just going to steal his treasure and he'd rather take it to his grave.
To the grave!
And Aquaman's thinking, how am I going to do this? And he reminisces
Walking hand in hand and reminiscing.
All of the stories from when he was Aquaboy, when he first was coming onto the scene, trying to get people to believe in him. He plugs this hole in a dam.
Yeah.
And these people think that he's the ghost of this kid that rescued their town a while back by sticking his thumb in a hole in the dam.
That sounds sort of familiar.
And so they all run away. And he's like, oh, they think I'm a ghost. Then there's another one where these guys are trying to find this ancient Roman ship with a bunch of treasure on it, and Aquaman leads them to it.
Yeah. As Aquaboy.
As Aquaboy.
Yeah, we need to make sure we are clear about that.
Absolutely.
No, it's okay.
By riding on a dolphin. And he's like, it's down here.
What about a giant seahorse? That's later.
Yeah, exactly.
God, I love the giant seahorse.
It's great.
Okay. Sorry.
Does the giant seahorse have a name? It should have a name because Copo has a name.
Here's the thing. We haven't seen the giant seahorse yet.
Okay.
So if and when we get to that, maybe it'll have a name. I don't know.
So it turns out that on this sunken Roman ship, there was a statue of a boy on a dolphin, like sort of one of those things that they put on the front of boats.
Figurehead?
Figurehead, yeah, exactly.
There we go.
So he was like, oh man, they're just going to think that that's what it was.
Dang it.
So, he's 0 for 2.
Yeah.
And now we cut back to the blind guy who slips off of the barrier reef that Aquaman placed him on and is now legitimately drowning. And Aquaman's injured from rescuing him in the first place. So he's like, how am I going to do this? So he gets a whale to come stick the guy in his mouth.
Right.
And then finally the blind guy believes. He's like, I can feel whale teeth. This is weird. He must be legit.
Man, Aquaman is too legit to quit. That's what I told Spencer, our friend Spencer.
Yes.
And
your friend and mine.
An occasional co-host on the show. He's returned to the show, but he also, we've experienced the holiday gap.
Yes.
So, but we're fixing that.
The gap is real.
But anyway, he texted me one day, or he asked me, he's like, so is Bouncing Boy legit? And I'm like, yeah, Bouncing Boy's legit. He's too legit to quit. And it's so funny because I was talking about this with Jeff today. Like, Bouncing Boy is the only fat superhero. He is.
Yeah.
I can't think of any.
You gotta love a fat superhero. Though.
So if you're going to cosplay, if you're a big guy and you want to cosplay, you either have to be the fat version of something, or you got to be like Kingpin or Mole Man or, somebody like that. But I've been like, come on, cosplay as Bouncing Boy with me. We'll be Legion of Superhero members. I will be Matter Eater, lad.
The Legion has so many good things to cosplay as too.
Oh yeah, and I don't see enough Legion cosplay.
Yeah.
That's why next by September, Rose City Comic Con, I want to do Legion cosplay. Are you down?
I'm down. That sounds great.
What Legionnaire would you go as?
Oh,
this is such a tangent.
I don't even know. I still don't know very many of the
Of the Legion.
Of the Legion.
Oh.
I'm still relatively new.
Well, it's okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot. We should
Oh,
talk
it's
about
okay.
Aquaman.
Okay, so the story is almost over. The blind guy believes him, tells Aquaman where the pearls are. Aquaman goes and grabs the pearls, and it ends with him able to order his eye operation, but he doesn't get it yet.
Okay.
So he doesn't become unblind.
Unblind. Yeah.
But the ability is there unless he drops, you know. It's kind of like that Twilight Zone episode, Time Enough at Last.
Oh, and that one's such a bummer.
It is.
I love it, but
huge bummer.
It's just like there's no lesson. It's just like,
oh.
yeah, like the only lesson is, and it's a terrible one, is don't read, you square, you nerd. You know, that's what you get. Like, what? All this guy wanted was to be able to read, and then he gets the chance and taken away.
It's just
like, that's
such
horrible.
A good plot twist, though. I mean, it's hard to. I don't know. I love it.
It's really bad.
So what they don't show at the end of this comic is him paddling away in his canoe, and then he drops the chest again. Wah wah wah.
Oh, that's terrible. No, yay, blind guy getting sight back. Let's break this up into two. So we'll have some more Aquaman stories to talk about shortly. You'll have to wait at least a day, listeners. Moo ha ha.
But coming up soon is Aqualad, so definitely don't want to miss that.
Yes.